Happened in the 90s.
Matt was the fat kid, Steve was the black kid. Life wasn't always great, but you know what was? The 90s. Happened in the 90s. Yeah!
I hate this part.
Monster Eyes are back at Taco Bell. Get them while they're fresh. Just 99 cents with the purchase of a combo meal. Taco Bell. Want some?
Fucking hit record when I want, because I do shit like that. I'm a wild card. I'm excited tomorrow. Our local theater, and probably theaters, whatever this chain is, I forget what it is. I think it's Regal. They're doing like $4 movie day, and they're playing old movies on this, like in the theater. So gonna go see Jurassic Park on the big screen for the first time in 20, 30 years, I think. Pretty excited about that. I remember seeing that in the theater even before I moved to Ohio, but looking forward to it. I
What
love
year
seeing.
did you move to Ohio?
I mean, I think it literally was that year that Jurassic Park came out, because I saw it. I saw it in theater in Pennsylvania, and then we moved to Ohio, and it came out on VHS. But you remember, like back then, VHS releases took. I mean, sometimes if you were waiting for that shit to be released, it took forever. It was like a year.
Yeah, some of them.
But yeah, dude, I'm excited. I like going to see these older movies on the big screen because, I think that's a thing. Some movies you have to do that. And I think Jurassic Park, I mean, I like watching it at home, but it's cool to go back and just sit back and just, get to enjoy that shit again. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. So this is a regular thing where they have old school movies released, like re-released.
I don't know. But we went to see, I think it was Ninja Turtles, and the guy working there peeped us onto it. So maybe it's just something they're doing this day, like tomorrow, but maybe they keep doing it off and on. But there's a bunch of older movies, but anything in that's playing that day, $4. But they are playing older movies too. So I forget what the other old one was, but Jurassic Park was the only thing that interests us. So we're gonna go see that. Watch fucking Jeff Goldblum, Sam Neill, what's her name? Laura Dern. I'm trying to
Lord Dern.
Dennis Nedry. He's gonna fucking pop up. Sam Jackson. So I'm sure it's gonna be
Fucking
awesome, but I'm just gonna get just ripped and just enjoy fucking watching Jurassic Park in the theater,
see Newman get squirted in the face.
I mean, was that the height of Newman's career, you think? Like, did that eclipse every piece of Seinfeld that he did, or was that it? Like, his Dennis Nedry appearance, that cements him in Hollywood.
Well, I mean, he did do Third Rock. I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, you and I have discussed that show, though. I mean, that's like a secret new love of mine of 90s shows. And speaking of which, dude, we're going to talk about the actual episode, but New York Undercover, I didn't like cop dramas in the 90s. I still don't really like them too much other than The Wire and shit, but New York Undercover, it's getting up there, dude. It's that, and it's Quantum Leap, of these shows that I
Oh,
didn't have any respect for, and it's getting up there. So I'm
it's
loving me some New York Undercover, Steve.
these are shows that you just totally ignored in real time when they were going down, and it's like now you've grown this newfound admiration and respect for them.
I mean, it's the shit I saw, especially on this episode of New York Undercover, the levels like they were willing to go. I love it. It's intense. And yeah, I washed it aside. I don't even know. Maybe I was playing too much GoldenEye. I just didn't have the time. I had to get my N64 on, but man, New York Undercover. And even I'm going to throw MacGyver in there too, Steve. I'd like to ask you that. What are shows that you completely pushed to the side as a child in the 90s that upon rewatch, you're like, you know what? I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to dig deep.
Quantum Leap is one, but it's not because of this show. It's, I think just being older and catching it in syndication in my adult years, I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. Like when it was going on, I was too young to fully appreciate something like that, thought provoking and pushing of the envelope. And MacGyver is another one. Of course, there were the jokes and the memes, like Walker Texas Ranger style, which is another show. And that's from doing this show. In addition to some of the Conan, you get Conan's somewhat responsible. It's like, man, that piqued my interest. And then doing this show, and from us having little options on some weeks, it's like, all right. I can get the appeal in this show, man. So those are some. Third Rock, throw that in there.
Yeah, Third Rock also when you go back and you're able to see, like, 'cause who would watch TV back in the day and look at like the titles of the episodes? But when you go back to Third Rock and everyone's like, Dick loves this, Dick, it's all Dick something, and I love that. I'm stupid, I'm immature, but I do love that.
Unless you were like an avid TV guide collector, because they would have the title of episodes in those.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, like you were never like, oh, here's my mother's daughter or whatever, the title of the episode was, I'm just like, is MacGyver on? Yes. Think that's it. So they definitely had something there. They had a little nice inside joke there that I don't know whether they planned it. I'm sure they did, but I love seeing Dick loves something or the word Dick in the title of anything. So
every fucking episode. And I got another one, man. Blossom. Like I watched it because it was the on the tail end of Fresh Prince. Every Monday night it was like, okay, I got another half hour before WWF starts, so I might as well stick with this channel. And I would watch it because of Joey and Six. Like they were, to me, the things that stood out. She always have like a different outfit and like a weird hat on, and then Joey, he was like a star. So I was like, okay, I know about these people. But it was actually a good show. Like the storylines and the characters. Tony can be kind of cringe. It's that whole I learned it from you, Dad energy. Like that gets old. Definitely.
Yeah,
that gets old.
Tony's a dud. Yeah, we're definitely he's one of those characters where you're like, yeah, this guy's just a chud.
This is like a one-trick pony. It's like, dude, okay, like your thing is like, all right, you're struggling with sobriety. For 4 or 5 seasons.
Struggling with fucking mental illness because he's sitting there sniffing fucking hairs on a brush. I mean, when you get there, you're one step away from being taken away to the fucking rubber room shit, Steve. They're gonna throw Tony in a fucking room and sniffing Joey's hair.
And another one, Larry Sanders Show.
Yeah. I think because I got into I loved Judd Apatow movies in that whole world for a while. So just hearing his backstory, and I think that whole show is widely just hugely respected by comedians and people that like funny shit in general. So I always was like, yeah, it's a good show. Clearly everyone loves it, but yeah, digging deep, it's fun to watch.
See the new shirt?
I saw, dude, that's hilarious. I want you to walk around town in that. I gotta get me one of those. That's hilarious.
Damn, son,
dude.
Where'd you find this?
That's so great.
Man, available at Redbubble, man. Get your new Happen in the 90s drip.
Ah, damn. It looks good. I mean, you definitely look good with me as a fucking 13-year-old chud on your shirt, Steve. I love that. Harrisburg's finest, Steve.
Illmatic.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Can I have half?
The new classic bacon double. If it doesn't get all over the place, it doesn't belong in your face.
So this is Steve G and Maggie with Happened in the 90s, a show where we talk about what happened in the 90s. So get out your Game Boy and your Band-Aid bubblegum. And dream lover, come rescue me. Take me up, take me down, take me anywhere you want to, baby. Now I need you so desperately. Won't you please come around? 'Cause I want to share forever with you, baby.
Nice.
Got to throw some Mariah in there.
You gonna hit that high note, Steve?
Nah, my mic won't register it at all.
It won't? You tried.
Nah. Anytime I try to go a little pitch above, it'll be just like muted.
Because you're too good. You can't capture
That part.
perfection on a mic. It's impossible.
Well, today, my friend, we're talking about all things August 31st in the 90s. Starting off in 1990, Mirror Mirror premieres. A teenage girl begins receiving black magic power through an antique mirror that drips blood, not realizing the mirror is controlled by demonic forces. Directed by Marina Sargenti, starring Rainbow Harvest, Karen Black, Yvonne DiCarlo, and William Sanderson.
It's weird she doesn't know that the mirror's controlled by demonic forces when, you know, if I have a mirror and it starts dripping blood, my first go-to is demonic forces, Steve. How do you feel about that?
It took a while for her to see the blood because these things would happen. And at first she was like, whoa. Like, that doesn't make sense. And then like it started to make sense to her once the blood started coming from there. But she's like, she becomes infatuated with it. She's the new girl in town, and she looks like Wish.com Winona Ryder.
Oh.
And yeah. And so like all the Valley girls, they're making fun of her because she's goth and she's so flock of seagulls. Oh, look at this loser bitch. And so with that, so like, you know, this is another one of those movies where like you kind of root for her. She's supposed to be the antagonist, but because of these meanies, they're the real antagonists, these mean Valley cheerleader girls in Los Angeles. And he's like, yeah, kill these bitches. These fucking Beckys.
Get them. You're fucking. What's wrong with your fucking hair? What do you have, mange or something? Like a dog? Jesus. Hey Becky, look at this fucking. I mean, we're good bullies, Steve. We'd be good female '90s bullies, but this sounds like Carrie or some shit, Steve.
In a way.
So what does she see in the blood spilling mirror though? Like, so what happens with the mirror that she's just getting powers from it? She's seeing visions. Is it taking people's soul? What's going on here?
Well, her and her mom move into this new house, and the people who lived there before, they left the mirror behind. And the backstory is that like back in the 1700s, this lady killed her sister, and the mirror, I guess that like she was possessed then. So there really is no origin story of how the mirror became evil. And so like fast forward to 1990, they move into this house, and the daughter, Winona Ryder, right here, she is like, you know what? Let's keep this mirror. Something about this mirror I like.
Oh, blood! There's like blood stains on this. I like it. It's got a nice little biological motif. I'm enjoying this, and it makes this weird noise at night when I'm asleep. I keep hearing. It's really soothing. It's like a noise machine.
These are a few of my favorite things.
I mean,
she really does look like Winona Ryder.
Is this single white female too goth-ish, or because you're right? But again, I love this.
I do too. That's her mom, and her mom is really hot. That is Karen Black, and she was hot back then. She's no longer with us, but she's a hot mom in this. And Karen Black, the mom, she dies. She gets her hand stuck in the sink from all of these evil forces, all from that mirror.
So there's just evil forces. It's not the mirror itself that's doing the things. It just has evil inside of it that's killing people. Can I ask, is the solution breaking the mirror, Steve?
They can't break the mirror.
Oh, damn it.
Because there's another mirror. There's sequels to this shit.
I mean, god damn it. And we can't make a movie, Steve? Mirror. Hey guys, I got this crazy idea for this movie about a mirror. And the guy's like, I don't like it. And he's like, wait, 2 mirrors. Make that fucking movie.
3 sequels followed in 1994, 1995, and 2000.
I love the real estate. They're like, hey, what's up with this mirror with the blood on it? Comes with the house, guys. I just said, I win here. You get a cool mirror and a house. Enough said.
I don't ask questions. Mirror, mirror, why you bugging? Also in 1990, the shrimp on the Barbie premieres. Down on his luck and working at a Mexican restaurant in Australia, an American tourist is hired by an icy heiress to pose as an obnoxious new boyfriend in an attempt to make her father accept her current boyfriend. Directed by Michael Gottlieb as Alan Smithy, starring Cheech Marin, and you know what that means: Emma Samms, Vernon Wells, Bruce Spence, and Carol Davis.
Shrimp on
Carol
the Barbie,
Davis.
Steve.
Yeah.
I think this was on Comedy Central. I think I remember this slightly. A lot of nationality stuff going on here. Australian, Mexican dude, American. Yep. If it wasn't Cheech, it was going to be Paul Rodriguez, Steve. It was one or the other. I really have to think as far as like the bookkeeping goes. Both guys got reached out to when they were casting this.
And I could totally see this being played on Comedy Central like late night. And to me, the highlight of this movie was Carol Davis. She plays the friend. She's like the bestie of Emma Samms. And Emma Samms, she's like the fiance of this uptight, like rich, like celebrity guy. And her father doesn't like him. So it's like, well, I'm gonna date somebody like that's less prestigious. I'm gonna date a scumbag. I'm gonna date a scumbag and act like I'm dating them. It's not real. I'm not acting like I'm dating them. So like now that I'm dating this scumbag, that'll make him appreciate my rich fiance more. But that ends up falling on its face. And the rich scumbag ends up like getting it on with Carol Davis, Emma Sam's bestie. And all of this is caught on video. Because Cheech Marin, he's got people following him around. He's like a local celebrity. Everybody's coming to this Mexican restaurant in Australia because, like, man, you got to see this waiter, man. It's an experience. You got to see it to believe it. It's one of them deals. So, like, while the photographer and all those guys are following him around, they're catching all this other shit in the process. And mind you, the rich elitist fiance guy, he's a celebrity too. So he's got people following him around. And unbeknownst to him, like the whole tryst that he had is videoed. And but Carol Davis, while they're getting on, she is fucking fine.
So see this for Carol Davis's titties, it sounds like.
I don't even think you see titties.
It's just the illusion of, like, the possibility of seeing or what's happening. I like that.
You see her butt.
See, I like these. Cheech was in a couple of these movies where it was this same situation. He was like a down on his luck guy that got plugged into like rich society. And it was always like somewhat highly sexual, but it was always like Cheech had a couple of these movies that were like R-rated comedy sexcapade movies, and get it. He was off the pot, Steve. He had to pop somehow. So
meanwhile, Emma Sam's cousin is this man-hungry chick behind me, and she's just like goo goo gaga over Cheech. She's like, say something in Spanish. Oh my god! And she's just like ready to jump his bones at any. I guess it's just like a Mexican man fetish that she has.
I mean, it's Australia. They only got so many options, so they're like, crikey! You mate, yeah. I don't know how women sound in that part of Australia, but hey, man, Cheech had to get paid, Steve. So don't ask too many questions.
Get that bag, Cheech. I ain't even mad, man. But also in 1990, baseball outfitters Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. become the first father and son to play on the same team for the Seattle Mariners. The pair would hit back-to-back singles in the first inning, and both scored. What an honor that's got to be, man.
Yeah, that's there. This was this the only? I mean, this maybe not the only time, but this is definitely historical, and that's got to be so fucking cool, especially for the dad. When you're like, damn, dude, my seed is hitting dingers too.
You came out of my nuts.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. He's looking over at him right now, like, dude, I was gonna shoot you on your mama's back. It is nuts, dude. Literally.
You could have been staying on my gym side. But also in 1990, Dennis Eckersley saves his 40th game of the season. And we've talked about this man before, as well as his epic mustache.
God, dude. And just the hair, just the whole joie de vivre of Dennis Eckersley. It's fantastic.
If Yanni played baseball.
That's literally, Steve, the greatest and most perfect explanation of a human being's visual that I've ever heard in my life. And I love that. The Yanni of baseball. Is Dennis Eckersley still alive?
He's still with us.
We got to get him and Yanni in the same room together, and something's going to happen, Steve. The portal will open. Heaven will come to earth. I don't know. But those two individuals have to be, maybe they have met. Do you think they've met?
Man, I think the world would shake. We would have known.
I just feel like the mustache game, like that's like a magnet. Like when you're on that level, like you're just like somehow attracted. They're in like Belize and they're like, holy shit, it's Yanni and Dennis Eckersley just living life.
Those two mustaches in the same room, that'd be like D-Day. Like, man, you feel the tremors from the ground.
It's like when they split the atom, I think. Actually, I think maybe existence would stop. You can't have that. It's like when you see yourself and you time travel, when you're in the same, you can't do that. Those two people can never meet.
Same thing with Tom Selleck. But also, in 1991, What Would You Do debuts on Nickelodeon. And that Mark Summers, once again, man.
Get in the bag. What? Bam, ba, bam, ba, bam, bam, bam. You bam, bam, ba, bam, 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 bam. You bam, 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 bam. You do. Well, what would you do? Bam.
Oh,
I almost got it, Steve. I mean, a cappella. That was pretty good.
You got the beatbox, and there was a little what.
Yeah, I'm rusty. I haven't watched it in a while, but. Okay, let's just put an estimate. Mark Summers starts day one at Nickelodeon to the last day. How much money did Mark Summers make off Nickelodeon? Because this dude was the network for a while. He was the Guy Fieri of Nickelodeon for a while.
Before there was a Mike O'Malley. Man, I would like to think in the close to millions, hundreds of thousands. I don't think he was a millionaire.
Nah. But he was close. And if like the world was fair, he would be rich. Maybe it's not. But this dude, I mean, I said, he was the face of the network in a way for a while. In a good way.
Like the Pi Pendulum, the Pi Slide, the Pi Pod, all of these contraptions, man, the Wall of Stuff, the What Would You Do medley.
Just everything, dude. Like what was the creative process of coming up with these shows with these wacky like games and shit? Dude, I would love to be a guy that was just like, yeah, I want to build a giant nose. I know this is Double Dare, but like you have to get a flag out of a nose and pick it out of some goop, and then somebody built that.
Yeah,
like I mean,
let's
awesome.
get these kids nasty and dirty. Was Dan Schneider a part of this?
Yeah,
wasn't there a foot?
Yeah,
wasn't there like a foot on Double Dare or some shit?
He was probably late. That's how they cleaned the floors. Dan Schneider'd come in after they stopped taping and just lick them clean.
She was wearing some British Knights. Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh. But in 1992, WWF is airing SummerSlam 92. It was on tape delay. It actually happened on the 29th, but we got to see it in America on August 31st, live, London, England. at the Wembley Stadium. Well, I guess it wasn't live. Vince and Bobby Brain are doing the ones and the twos, if you will. And I love, we've said this before, the Vince McMahon intros of pay-per-views, and the fact that he's on the mic, man, he just adds so much more to what's going on in the ring.
Yeah. I just have to say, like, just in general, and this is 92. So we had Main Event Rich on, a guy from London or the UK, and we were like asking him about what it was like back then to watch wrestling and be a fan over there. Clearly, this was completely a thing over there, because when you see this huge soccer stadium filled up for this event, it looks crazy. There's so many people here to see this. It's fucking super impressive. In 92, Steve?
Yeah. They say this is one of the biggest revenue returns at the gate, man. And out of all their pay-per-views, still to this day, this is like in the top 10 of attendance, of revenue build, and all of that, man. The merchandise.
It looks badass. It looks fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
But like, they initially were going to have this in Maryland. But yeah, once Vince realized the following they had in the UK, he was like, you know what? Let's try England.
Let's get it over there to those limey motherfuckers. Let's get some pounds.
I love the very polite fans that attend this event. These are British people, so everyone's when they interview them, like in the intro, it's like people with warrior makeup. And in America, these people would be screaming and drooling and like, ah! Here they're like, Ultimate Warrior's gonna win and he's gonna take it because that's what good ones do. And they're very polite, Steve. I love it.
In our first match, we got Money Inc., Ted DiBiase and IRS with Jimmy Hart versus Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal with Paul Ellering.
Well,
who is, okay, Steve, Paul Ellering, who is he and who is the fucking puppet? Okay, explain this. I don't remember this at all.
So Precious Paul Ellering, he was their longtime manager when they were the Road Warriors in the 80s. Like he was with them before they signed the Vince. So like the people who were aware of Hawk and Animal before then, like they knew about Paul Ellering. So he came there afterwards. Like, you know, initially it was just Legion of Doom, and then Paul, he joined them, and then he came in with this ventriloquist doll called Rocco. And that was very cringe. A lot of Warrior fans, LOD fans, this is a dark era in our opinion, because Rocco, as the story goes, he was a childhood friend. He was their doll when they were growing up together. And so Paul, you know, he was their manager. He knew them since they were little boys. And he's like, man, hey, look, guys, I got your childhood friend. It's Rocco. And Paul Ellering would do the voice for Rocco from time to time whenever they have promos. And neither of the guys liked this shit. I don't remember whose idea it was. Maybe it was a Vince thing, but like they just abhor this shit, and rightfully so.
No, sir, I didn't like it.
It's strange. It is strange. But I do like Money Inc. I don't like Ted DiBiase in a white suit, Steve, because he's coming off very televangelist in this look, and it's not the Ted. I don't like this Ted DiBiase, but one thing I just have to say about Erwin R. Shyster, this guy was just like a guy that would come out in Royal Rumbles, get his ass whooped. He wore a suit. He was an accountant or whatever. I didn't realize how fucking gigantic that guy was. Pretty fucking big for just like a mid-tier wrestler. You know, I was like, damn, this guy could have probably whooped everyone's ass.
Yeah, he's a legit tough guy. Mike Rotunda is his real name, and thoughts and prayers go out to his family, man. Like IRS is the father of two wrestlers, man. One of them, Bo Dallas, and another one, Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt. Yeah, Bray Wyatt is his son, his oldest son, and he was also like one of the spotlights, in my opinion, of current wrestling. When I first was aware of Bray Wyatt, that got me back into watching it, man. It was like him and Cena and Brock. That's all I really cared about, man. And Bray Wyatt, he kind of had this Cape Fear character with his like family, and his introductions would be so dope, man. The lights would turn off and everybody would pull out their phones, and it would give like this Firefly effect where, you know, all you're seeing are these glowing screens, and that would be his intro, you know. And like, I was there in person at a Toyota Center at one of his SmackDown shows, and like, to see that go down, that's like, to me, one of the greatest introductions ever, man. His whole thought, like, he was unique, man. Like, when you feel like everything has been done, and then he has this character, is like, well, I guess everything hasn't been done, man. So RIP to Bray Wyatt, man.
Yeah, man. That sucks.
But yeah, IRS, I didn't care for him, but like, you know, clearly he's made a great contribution to the wrestling world, and people still remember IRS.
He just was, I don't know, for whatever reason, he stood out with all the, like, this type of wrestler. They were like this guy, Repo Man, Skinner, like these sort of generic characters, but yeah, for whatever reason, I remember him. He comes out, and I do like, he just like kind of besmirches London a little bit. He's like, if you people would actually do your part, the royal family wouldn't have to. So he says something about people being greedy and not paying their taxes. So he's an accountant. But this match, we need LOD. We need him to set the stage. We need England to feel the fury. But this is kind of a sloppy match, Steve. I got to say, there's some sloppy Joe wrestling going on in here. And again, seeing $1 Million Man in white tights, looking like he's wearing just straight up fucking tighty whities, it's just as sloppy, and I don't like it.
How do you feel about the gold shoulder plates?
I think it's cool one-off, but I like red and black myself. That's the classic, but it does look cool. I mean, if it's gold plated anything, it's a fucking baller. So if it's LOD, I respect it. But you know, televangelist $1 Million Man, nah.
Yeah, not feeling that either, man. But I will say the highlight of this match for me was when IRS, he intercepts the Doomsday device. They were about to set up $1 Million Man. Now IRS, he sets off a pretty lofty drop kick to intercept that, and you know, it makes them fall, whatever. But eventually LOD, they get back on the offensive, man, and Animal scores a power slam and the pin. LOD wins in the opening match,
and we all knew that was gonna happen. You know, it's England. We gotta fucking set the stage. So shout out to LOD, but I need to get rid of the fucking puppet. Paul Ellering, keep him if he means something to you. The puppet Rocco, I was like, I don't remember this at all, and there's a reason, because it sucks, dude. So
put that shit back in the vault, man. And then next we have Mean Gene interviewing Ric Flair, and he feels like he was slighted. It shouldn't be Ultimate Warrior in this match. I deserve a rematch. That's my belt. That's my title shot. Somebody's gonna pay.
Yeah, somebody is, and he's connected with Mr. Perfect right now. And Mr. Perfect's intermingled in some shit that keeps going, but nobody knows who his allegiance is to. There's a match, like you said. People are assuming Mr. Perfect's been given an offer to team up with one of the guys in the match. And there's this whole question as to where he's at. Who's he with? Is he going to show up? Ric Flair, I think, when in this promo is asked about it, and they're like, so what's going on with this? You know the guy. And he's like... He just laughs it off, Steve, because he's not telling you. He's a nature boy. He doesn't have to tell you shit.
He doesn't have to tell you why he's got his robe on. Like, he's not even slated. He's not even slated for a match. He's like, what you doing with the robe on?
That's shit, what he walks around in. That's walking around clothes, Steve. He's a nature boy. You never know when you're just going to have to disrobe and either fight or fuck. And he's ready to do either, so.
Well, shit, like jail, fight or fuck. And you know, he stay ready, so you never have to get ready. And up next we got Sean Mooney, who's interviewing Virgil, and he's shadowboxing, preparing his match with Nails, and he sounds very blaxploitation. I'm just gonna say that it's very basic, like, yeah, sucker, you know, I'm not gonna bestow upon you what I can't. Like, it's somewhat biblical. And
it's not good at all. Like, there's a reason we don't get a lot of Virgil promos, Steve, because the candy stripe pants, and like, it's not even like I don't know if they gave him a script, but he's not even making sense, really. He's just like, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, Jive sucker turkey, Jive Punk. And he also wants to let Nails know that he's too legit to quit because it's 1992.
Yeah. Hey. I mean, that would have been dope. If he would have just did that and left, I would have saluted it. But they had to have a promo for this because Nails, the other guy in the match, I think is mentally handicapped. So I don't think he's capable of doing a promo because he looks like he's either got smashed in the head with a baseball bat as a child or he's mentally like missing a chromosome. Something's
he escaped
happening.
Prison, Matt.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, he sucks, Steve. Whoever that guy is, he's even stiffer than any of the like fucking what's his name? Mongo. This guy makes Steve Mongo McMichael look like the greatest wrestler of all time. Nails.
Well, he loved his orange jumpsuit so much that he wears it all the time.
Well, in this match, Virgil even makes it nice on us because he sprints to the ring. So we don't even need to wait for him to get to the ring. He saves time that way. And basically Nails, like, does he wrestle? No. He takes some shots, he drools, makes some weird faces, and then just like rape chokes Virgil a couple of times, I believe. Like, it's really basically that. So if you're into that,
he just strangles him. If that wasn't enough, he just strangles him until, like, you know, he wins the match, and then he picks up the nightstick and he starts strangling him with that after beating him.
I do like that Nails, psychotic, possibly mentally handicapped convict, escaped convict, he doesn't give a fuck about cops, right? But if a ref gets in his face, is like, come on, get off of him. He's off. He listens to a ref, Steve. That's the ultimate law.
As long as that ref doesn't have a badge.
You're not in the system. Yeah.
You're not law enforcement, are you? Okay, I'll listen.
Even Soccer kicks Virgil in the chest, which that's just bad form. That's rude.
Yeah.
You already won, dude.
CTE is real, man. And, you know, I think the highlight of this match was when Bobby Heenan said when he sees Virgil's head, it looks like a cricket ball.
I think the highlight of this match was when they cut to something else, Steve, because we knew it was over.
Yeah. Touche. And then up next we get Lord Alfred Hayes, and he's in on the case where Mr. Perfect is. He's outside of Warriors' rooms, like, oh no, can't come in there. That's top secret. But
I'm out here outside the door, and from what I see, someone, I can't tell you if Mr. Perfect's here or not, but using my intuition, he might be. It's like, what is this guy's, why is he here? How much did he get paid?
You don't know shit, Lord Alfred Hayes. You know about as much as we do. But I do miss his voice on those like trailers, those bumpers going into commercial. Promotional consideration paid for by the following. Like, that was him. Like hearing that just takes me back, because like it would be like a Rolaids commercial, and like you would hear that voice. And yeah, man, good time.
To me, he always had the same like voice and vibe of the guy that, remember, like they would always have a British dude selling you shit and like infomercials, like, here's the set it and forget it, and he had that same like tone of voice, very official, you know.
Yeah. And now we have Mean Gene interviewing Sensational Sherry. And we get the recap on everything that's Rick Martel and Shawn Michaels. And in the past month or so, they've been interfering in each other's matches. And meanwhile, Rick's been throwing them eyes at Sherry. And Sherry, she's been winking back. It's like, oh, getting a little wet, getting a little moist in the panties.
Yeah. And I don't even know if she's wearing panties, Steve, because the shit she has on now, it's an assless outfit. I mean, she's fully out there, but Rick Martel's trying to get in them draws, Steve. He's just like you.
In them cheeks.
Yeah.
He sees what I see.
And also, when she winks at him, I love Rick Martel. He's like, ooh, he's like almost shocked, which he's a model.
The arrogance, man. You got to let that shit spray.
Yeah, but Sherry, she's in the middle of it, Steve. And she's pulling strings behind the scenes because in this match that's coming up, She's arranged it. Nobody's getting hit in the face. You're not fucking up that beautiful face. And I mean, I got shocked, Steve. I see what you see in Sensational Sherry now. I totally get it.
Man, it looks like a good time, man. And
it totally does, dude. That so does. In the 90s, Steve, 92, you see your age now, you see Sensational Sherry. I mean, what digit are you willing to cut off to fuck that? Finger, pinky toe?
I'm not cutting off any digits for any pussy ever. No, it's not that
even
dire.
Sensational Sherry, Steve.
Not Sensational Sherry. Not Portia Williams. Not.
Well, I guess you just don't know what love is, Steve. Because I'll even cut a pinky toe off for that. If I could just take the time machine back, I'll take a move at Sensational Sherry. I'll steal her away from you. And it ain't. I'm not gonna cut a digit off. That's extreme, but I'm just letting you know now. We're both in competition for Sensational Sherry's biggest fan, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, I mean, we've made some ground. Look at that.
God bless those cheeks. But you know, I like Rick Martel. I don't like the vibe of a Rick Martel because, you know, as arrogant as the man is, you think you're taking Sherry away from the Heartbreak Kid? Think you're about to pull this? Because that's an all-time legend move if you can do that. There's nobody that's been able to do that, Steve.
I appreciate the confidence, or better yet, the arrogance that he has to even make that move. Because, I mean, like you said, this is the boy toy, and you're gunning for his gal?
And you know he's quick to just kick a motherfucker in the chin, so you better watch out. But in this case, nobody's getting hit in the face because Sherry's behind the scenes working that string. And match starts. We get some funny intros. The model comes out dressed in Wimbledon's finest. He's got his tennis racket. He's ready to go. And I got to say, with the backhand, he's got great form. I think this guy plays tennis, Steve.
Man, he's a AC Slater of sorts, man. A year-round athlete, if you will. And eventually, they get fed up with each other and slap each other in the face. And Sherry, at the sight of these two Adonises just demolishing each other in the face, man, she just faints. She just couldn't take it.
Yeah. I mean, two heartthrobs. She's trying to work the strings and she faints. They're fighting and she's playing possum for a solid 3 minutes. She'll look over, do a little sly look. Sean will come back. Then Rick will fuck him up. Then Rick tries to drag her ass off. Then he gets dragged off. I mean, it's a whole thing, Steve. And I think Sherry was just trying to get a three-way that night. But she gets finally whisked away by Sean to safety and to, I don't know what. I wonder what happened after this. Do you remember the storyline? Does Rick ever get it? Does Rick steal her?
Rick never stole her. But what happened was she got stranded in the aisle because Rick threw some water on her to wake her up, I guess. And then Sean just drops her and he runs after Rick. And then she's just left there embarrassed on the floor. It's like, then she just runs to the back.
And then she goes full Sherry.
And next we have Sean Mooney. He's interviewing the Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart. And they had a dark match, and thank God it was dark. It was a six-man tag, Jim Duggan and the Bushwhackers versus the Mountie and the Nasty Boys, and that was actually the first match of this event. The Nasty Boys just being nasty, but we have the tag team championship next with the Beverly Brothers, Bo and Blake, with the Genius versus the Natural Disasters, Earthquake and Typhoon, the Shockmaster, if you nasty.
The Beverly Brothers look insane. They perfected the blonde dye job before Eminem ever got a chance to. But I do love when the Genius comes out and he gives a poem, and Vince, heartless, just says he's no William Shakespeare. So now the Genius, that's Macho Man's brother, correct?
That's his little bro, yeah.
That's crazy, dude. The Genius. I don't know. Why is he with the Beverly Brothers? What's Beverly about the Beverly Brothers, Steve? I don't get it.
Yeah, well, I guess just to keep him on the payroll, man. You know, when your brother is Macho Man, you can stay employed. One of the things I remember about Beverly Brothers is that they're billed from Shaker Heights, Ohio, and I would get the annual Superstar magazine where they would have the whole roster and they would have like the data of each wrestler on the pages, man. And then the Beverly Brothers, oh, from Shaker Heights, Ohio. Oh, we don't have any wrestlers from Ohio, but we do now. Neither of these guys are from Ohio, but that was just good to know at the
time. Turns out not from Ohio, but in my opinion, Steve, when I looked at the match here, I'm rooting for the fat guys. The Beverly Brothers vibe, it's weird. The capes are weird. I don't get what if you had them describe the characters, how they would describe them. I don't get it. But this whole pay-per-view is littered, and wrestling's littered with ineffective refs. And this match is basically one long ref fuck up where they're keeping Earthquake out. And, you know, he's watching Typhoon just get his ass whooped. And Typhoon, I do have to just say, looked hilariously just cute when they're walking out. He has they're doing their walkout, and you're supposed to look tough. He's just smiling like a little kid, probably because they're in a huge crowd. But I was like, oh, Typhoon was in the moment right there.
You're not Tugboat anymore. Be meaner looking. Guess how old Earthquake is in this match?
I mean, he's younger than us, probably. But that's crazy. Steve.
It's crazy.
How old is he though? For real?
He's in this match. He is 29 years old.
No, 29. What the fuck, Steve? What happened? What power plant did he live near?
John Tenta.
29. Jesus Christ! I was like 39. He's probably close to us. 29.
29.
Damn, dude, Earthquake Earthquake's dead, right?
No, yeah, he's deader than
deceased. Yeah, wow, man, Jesus, did he have Benjamin Button's disease? What the fuck? 29.
And Earthquake, he hits that Earthquake splash and gets the pin. And the Natural Disasters, they retain their titles.
Yeah, he puts that taint. I mean, that move. If you had to be the recipient of that, there's just no way to feel good about it. Because if you open your eyes, your eye to tip of the dick and whatever else, like taint gut on that, it looks disgusting.
Even if they shower, I mean, throughout the match, the man's sweating, so you're going to get the cheese from up under. And backstage, we got Mean Gene interviewing the Bushwhackers, and they're ranting and raving about eating royal sardines and getting on the royal
throne. They're Australian, right? They're the Bushwhackers. So I don't know, dude. I didn't understand a damn word that they said.
Yeah.
I thought they were saying they were gonna fuck the queen, but I think they were just saying I don't even know, dude. Like it's unintelligible.
Fuck the queen. And now we got Lord Alfred Hayes. He's at Warrior's door, and he's certain that Mr. Perfect is in there. And he tries to open the door, and it's slammed right in his face. Like
rude to be sure, but one would think that this means Mr. Perfect is behind the door. Back to you, Vince. He's just there to look at a door twice. He got paid for that, Steve.
Yeah. Probably more than we both do.
We're broke, and that guy got paid for that. But what's next, Steve? What barn banger of a match is up next?
We got Repo Man versus Crush. Once again, we've talked about Bryan Adams in like 3 different versions in the past month. Whether he's on a motorcycle with DOA, NWO with Hollywood Hogan getting speared by Goldberg, or here as a Hawaiian wrestling the Repo Man.
Crush, bruh. Dude, he does though. Like we talk shit about this guy, and fuck Crush and fuck his mullet, but I don't know how much Repo Man weighs, but dude literally shoulder presses a grown man like a good 4 times. Like it's like combine weightlifting shit. So he looks ridiculous though. Whoever gave him this neon fucking craziness and the like whoever was advising that just should have been fired immediately because it's fucked up.
And these two guys are former teammates. They were in Demolition together once they had that 3-piece in Attic Crush. And Repo Man is Barry Darso, who was Smash back in the Demolition days. But I'm gonna be real with you, man. Repo Man's theme song might be fire.
Dude, thank you.
It like I only heard from the little bit I heard. I didn't get to hear the whole shebang bang, but like that shit.
He's got that little deep bass. Repo Man. It's I'm Steve. Here's the only note I took on this match. Repo Man. Always liked his theme song. So there I'm right on the same page. That's the best part of the match.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Repo Man and his theme song lose to Crush because he hit that cranium crush submission move. And I remember Crush being in one of those Super Nintendo or Genesis. It might have been Monday Night Raw or Royal Rumble. And he was one of the characters. And that, like his finisher, it wasn't a submission. He would take you by your head and basically just like slam you on your butt. And that was the finisher.
Yeah, head crush, it's, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen is like a finishing move, but that tracks because it's not even the worst choice that he made that night. I'd say either the mullet or the actual outfit itself, top two. So,
and then now we got Mean Gene, and he's giving us the rundown on this Warrior Savage fiasco. They've been butting heads. Of course, we actually covered the retirement match in WrestleMania 7 that previous year when Warrior won, and this was supposed to be the end of Macho's in-ring activity. And he would get married later that year, and people became fans again, started loving Macho, saw him with Elizabeth, and then Jake the Snake, he got involved, and he started putting snakes on him, and interfering with his wedding reception and whatnot. And people were just like, reinstate Macho, reinstate him. And then Ric Flair got in the business. He was like, yeah, you love that Elizabeth? Well, I had that bitch first. And before Photoshop was a thing, you would see Slick Rick in all of these different scenarios with Elizabeth. And in the next page, it would be Macho Man with Elizabeth in the same fucking setting. And it's like, this is 1990, 91, man, when all of this is going on. So shout out to those editors and the photography team for pulling this shit off. He would eventually win the belt from Rick when he got reinstated. And here we are now. He's the champ in 92. So the match, man, we got Warrior as the challenger against Macho Man Randy Savage, and Warrior, he comes down in one of those neon fluorescent signature dusters that you love so much.
And also the shot of him coming out because Warrior sprints to the ring. And usually he has like whatever the distance is between the entrance and the ring, but in this arena, he's got a solid like 100 yards of distance to clear. So the shot of him running to the ring is fucking epic. Cause it's this stadium's huge. I mean, it's gigantic. It's bigger than an NFL stadium. So it was epic as fuck. These are two of my favorite 90s wrestlers. I'm not Warrior. I'm losing love of a lot now that I keep watching him. I don't like the character that much, but for whatever reason, it just spoke to me as a kid.
It did for all of us.
But one thing that doesn't speak to me in this match specifically is he's wearing a fleshy, muscle designed onesie thing. And I don't need to see him in his like typical neon whitey tighty style briefs, but it almost looked like he's nude, and I don't like that. Does that make sense?
And I keep forgetting the guy's name, but it reminded me of the Inside Out guy that, he had that onesie and it had the body parts inside.
It was that, Steve. I mean, it literally, maybe he stole it from that guy, but it doesn't look good. It looks crazy, but this is a fucking great match. And one thing that we still don't know, Steve, who's Mr. He's not even here. Bobby's taking calls off screen. we don't know what's going on. Nobody knows because he's not here. He's not in the match. The match starts. He's Perfect, Flair. They're nowhere to be found. What the fuck's going on?
We haven't seen him. We've seen Flair. We haven't seen Perfect this whole time. But eventually they come out, both of them. And it's like, oh, shit, what are they about to do? What's going to happen?
Well, and multiple things happen because the match continues and they're just kind of sitting there. Perfect looks. I love this. He's got a tuxedo on, Steve. It's just a tuxedo with a bedazzled Mr. Perfect on the back, and that's a nice flex. That's a nice subtle flex. He looks great out there, but they're just kind of, milling about. They're speaking, they're doing this, doing the offensive coordinator move, hiding the mouth. And we don't know really what's going on. Perfect trips Savage at one point. So we think, oh, he's this way. And then something else happens, and it seems like maybe they're on the other side. So this whole match keeps going, and they're there, but really they just have a ringside seat. They're not really doing too much.
They're just there to shake the shit up, man, because eventually they fuck up Ultimate Warrior. You think they're going to his side. It's like, nah, we got to do some damage to you two. Eventually, Warrior wins the match by DQ because Randy couldn't make it back to the ring in time. So the belt doesn't change hands. And at first, Warrior, he takes the belt, and we don't know what he's going to do with it. While Randy, he's on the floor, they got his music playing, and eventually he hands the belt over to Randy. Randy, he's like hobbling. His leg is hindered, man. And he's trying to like carry him. Randy falls back down. He hands him the belt. He's like, no, brother, here. And that was a good image. Despite what we know behind the scenes, people are going crazy for Warrior. Even in London, people love him. He's got tons of fans. And, in the locker room, most of the guys are like, man, I fucking hate this guy.
Yeah, because I was like, kind of, that's a weird thing. You wouldn't think he would even agree to this because all the things I've heard of him is like, this guy just was a complete, like, lunatic prima donna that just didn't want to give anybody any shine.
Yeah.
But
and
he did, Steve, and he even helps him out. But, I mean, give the motherfucker a crutch. Get Randy Savage a crutch because you're not doing your due diligence here, Warrior. But he's showing some class. But who's not showing class backstage, Steve, post-match with Mean Gene is Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair. And Mean Gene, as always, a consummate journalist, like, what's the deal, guys? There was a deal. What? And Mr. Perfect's like, yeah, there was a deal. A done deal. That me and Ric Flair are some pimps. So fucking realize that. And Mr. Perfect is hilarious in this. And then Ric Flair gives an insane fucking coked up speech that I think was just really him reiterating what you said, was that he's the guy who should be the champ. And as far as Savage, he's like, Savage! And he goes on some shit about Randy. So, Ric Flair in full effect too. I love it.
In the next match, man, we have Kamala with Harvey Whippleman and Kimchi versus Undertaker with Paul Bearer.
Kamala, I think, is one of the worst characters ever. It just doesn't, it's not good. And then the fact he has a guy named Kimchi with him, I think is hilarious. I don't get that. And
his trainer.
Yeah. And Harvey Whippleman, other than threatening to whoop the ring announcer's ass when he gets the mic, I don't like that guy either. But I do like that. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, Harvey Whippleman actually has ties to Dwayne Johnson, man. I don't know if you ever watched Rocky's show, but Harvey Whippleman, he has a role, or not himself, but someone plays him because he knew Rock's dad back in the day, and he was one of those guys that would go on the road with the wrestlers and basically be their manager, like help them take care of loose ends and stuff like that. So he got to spend a lot of time with the young Rock, man. He actually lived in the Rock's dad's house. Like, he stayed with the Rock's dad to basically like help look after Rock while his dad was out on the road and stuff like that, man. So like, that's something I didn't know until I started watching the show. But
damn, sorry, Harvey. That's dope. I actually like that. Now I respect.
Yeah, I respect him too, because I thought the same thing. Like, man, this little whip. I never liked that guy. Like, he's a little punk, man. Somebody beat his ass, and then I found out like that's pretty cool. grew up with The Rock. You know, he's
He
kind of like
reminds
his
me of the
baby
guy
still.
with the yuck mouth in ECW that's always like screaming at people. Either with the ref dude, that guy.
It's
you know?
funny. It's funny you say that because Bill Alfonso is the ref in I want to say one or two of these matches. If you pay close enough
Oh
attention.
wow! I didn't notice a yuck mouth. I'll have to look closer. I'll have to zoom in.
It might have been this match. If not, it was in at least two, if I'm not mistaken, man. But this match is not even long. Taker, what I did like, he came down in the hearse with Paul Bearer up front with the urn. That's like one of the iconic looks, man. This is still like early era Taker that I love, man. And you know, at the end, you know, Taker wins by DQ because Kimchi interferes. So Kamala, he's had enough of this shit. He gives him a body splash on the mat, gives him a body splash from the second rope, body splash from the third rope.
Jesus, that's a lot of
Taker-
weight to be doing that, though. I mean, you think Taker can't? Taker's dead, from as far as I know from physics, and even Heenan's like, man, I don't know, but Taker, Steve, you can't kill a dead man, Steve.
Dead man walking. And, you know, unfazed, he gets up and that scares the shit out of Kamala.
Yeah, I literally, dude, we're on the same page. Kamala shits himself. That was my note. And it's a hilarious reaction. I think it's because of the face paint shit, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think Kamala is like, as far as reacting to Undertaker, like that's probably one of the best reactions of all the Taker's opponents in the past, man. And now we have Sean Mooney. He's backstage with British Bulldog, and he's got them braids, Matt. And you know his promos, per usual, super unforgettable. When I step in the ring, I never knew you, I never met you.
Yeah, I mean, this is the British Bulldog that I despise. The Stella got her groove back braids, the whole thing. It's just not. It's a mess. But he's part of the Dungeon or Hart family and shit, and he's gets to do what every brother-in-law wishes they could do: legally whoop your brother-in-law's ass. He's not happy about it. Then we cut to Brett. Brett's not happy about it. He's like, this fucking Brit dude's fucking saying he doesn't know me. Why introduce this dude to my sister and let him fuck my sister? So he doesn't know me. Fuck that. I'm gonna whoop his ass. I mean, that's, you know, basically what he says. I kind of zhuzhed it up a little bit.
Best there ever is, man.
But so, you know, Brett promos, whatever, Davey Boys, whatever, but they look like fucking magic compared to the next promo or interview we see, which is with Davey Boy's wife. I think her name's Diana. And
Diana Smith.
This woman looks terrified, and this is one of the worst wrestling. And like, stop this. Cut to something. Cut to anything else, please.
Cut the music. Turn it on. Like, bring out British Bulldog now. Like, I see why he cheated on you. You're very bored.
I mean, she's like, and hi, Davey Boy and Brett, and shut up, bitch.
Shut up, bitch. Samson, this is shit.
That's rude. That's not what I'm truly saying, but somebody should have just cut it. They didn't even need to do it. We get it.
They didn't.
The brother-in-laws, okay? No one wants to hear you talk because you're not a wrestler. I never even knew your name before tonight. Now I just, you know, we went a little too far, Steve. Sorry, Diana. But the shit was fucked up.
It's real.
Yeah. And you know, it's just not a good look. So Davey Boy gets escorted to the ring, not by his wife, but by young Studley Lennox Lewis, probably the toughest man in Britain at this point.
You said Joe Lewis?
Lennox Lewis.
No, that was a Bobby Heenan joke, man.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes. Lennox Lewis looking fucking great. I forgot. Young Lennox Lewis. I didn't know he was famous before he was just beating up all my fucking favorite boxers. I didn't like Lennox Lewis back in the day, Steve.
Me either, because of that. Like, Mike, he lost every time. He beat Evander. Like, damn, oh, miracle.
Man, I get it. But, you know, this is it, man. Like, it's either, I guess these are the two most famous athletes they have at this point, and everyone loves them. They're the hometown favorites. And I don't know. I just got the only thing I will say is like I talk shit about Davey Boy Smith and whatever, but that guy, to be him that night and to be able to like go out in Wembley Stadium, that has to be like one of the craziest like things to happen. That's just had to been so fucking cool because you know any stadium's got to be cool, but that's like the one. If you're from England, like that's it. That has to be like the dream. That's Madison Square Gardens, you know.
Yeah, that is their version of MSG, man. And Brett, he comes out and he's booed, and even though he's a face here in America, he's going up against their native son. So you already know where the Wembley crowd, where they're rocking. And I liked how Bobby Heenan said, oh, I don't know why he let Whoopi Goldberg do his hair.
Dude, I don't understand. Like, was that a thing? Was that a fucking thing back then?
No.
I just don't understand
with the braids,
why.
With the beads, fuck, not with guys. It wasn't. Fuck no, it wasn't.
I wonder who instructed. Like, was that a joke? I wish somebody would tell us. Like, who instructed British Bulldog to do that? Because it's one of the craziest, stupidest things I've ever seen. I don't get it. If it wasn't a thing, then how did it even come to pass, Steve?
My theory is that okay, he was a part of a big tag team in the 80s, the British Bulldogs, him and the Dynamite Kid. And then Dynamite Kid, he got fucked up. So, all right, I was a tag team performer, but I'm still active. I'm not injured. I want to be still a thing. So I think this was him trying to reestablish himself and break away from his shortcut days in the 80s. Maybe he wanted to try to create a different look, but this ain't it, bro. This is not it. Try again.
Yeah. So this match is good. Brett's getting booed, which is weird, and he's beating the shit out of fucking British Bulldog for most of the match. And it is weird to see like just him doing his thing, and people are just like, bah! And he's reacting to that, which I think is cool. There's about a fucking 1,000 kickouts in this goddamn match. I mean, it just seems to continually. It won't end. It is, but again, it's a good match. That sounds bad. But one thing, like near the beginning of this match, Brett does this crazy fucking move that looked like he was trying to cripple British Bulldog because he like jumps out of the ring and it almost looks like he was trying to do like a neck breaker, but he just like grabs the dude and like twists him around and shit and throws him. It looks, I don't know if you clocked it, but it just looked fucking insane. It didn't look like it was planned, but I don't know. What'd you think of the match? Like, is this like top matches? Because it was technically a good match, but I don't know. It's kind of boring to me.
Well, it's considered by a lot of people to be the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. And that says a lot because there's been a lot of SummerSlam matches. I could see why people think that, man, because of the story behind it. They're real life relatives. And this was done in one of the opponent's like backyard. This is their stomping grounds. So like the fans, I think they added to this match and being able to see, somebody from their turf, end up with the pin, man. And like I think it's the greatest SummerSlam match of all time. That's hard for me, man. I have to do some deep digging, but I thought it was a great match.
It's a good match, but like best of SummerSlam, isn't there a Shawn Michaels Razor Ramon ladder match that was in a SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Well, then that's to me the best match.
I mean, like you said though, man, there were a lot of kickouts, and I think that's one of the recipes for like a instant classic when you got those close 1, 2, and then he kicks out, and then they do another move, and then 1, 2, and then another, and there was a lot of that because British Bulldog hits a power slam, and you think that's it. Nope, he hits a top rope suplex. You think that, oh no, Bret Hart, man, he's got heart. They do that double clothesline that Warrior and Hogan did in the WrestleMania 6. And then from there on the ground, Brett gets up and he does his sharpshooter. British Bulldog reaches for the ropes, kicks out of that. And then they do, what does they call it? A rope toss, throw him into the ropes. And then they come and do the sunset flip. And Davey Boy, he just reverses it and just sits on him and gets the pin. And I would have to put this in my top 5 for sure of SummerSlam matches.
When you take into account like the storyline, it is fucking cool. Like brother on brother, technically, that kind of thing. And the fact that one of the guys is from England, gets to be in the main event in England, in front of England and all that. It's cool. I like to be negative, Steve. So shame on me for that. But you know, Brett also kind of salty. He loses the match. Davy Boy, he's fucking kind of like conflicted, but he puts his hand out to shake his hand, and Brett's looking at it like, man, fuck that, and he walks away to like insane boos that make him, from my perspective, reconsider, Steve. So he takes a step back and he's looking around like, man, am I fucking up? Davy Boy gives him that hand again, and Brett does the right thing, Steve. He's the bigger man in this point. To be honest with you, I think inside he knew he was going to get that belt back pretty soon. You know, it's like Davy Boy Smith ain't going to keep that shit for long.
Well, he knows that he's going to get that big title eventually, because you know I think this is it for the Intercontinental strap. Him like in Bret Hart, because he's got bigger fish, man. Later that year, I think he would win the big strap against Ric Flair, and then, he starts becoming the guy. I think at this point he's starting to become the guy. Hulk Hogan days, they've came and gone, and I was like, Vince is looking for the next person to pass the torch to. We tried Warrior, no. Macho Man, he's got the belt for now, but we know he's up there in age, and eventually he's going to have to sit his ass down. So this Brett guy, we're grooming him to climb those ranks, man. And you know, also knowing the backstory of Davy Boy being out all night, freebasing apparently with Jim Neidhart, just partying and shit, and just being zooted and tooted out of his mind. I think that makes the match even greater. The fact that they were able to pull off something like this, and the man is just zooted out of his mind. Like,
well, now I like him a lot, Steve. Now I love it. You telling me this guy was Lawrence Taylor in this shit and just fucking wrestling gacked out?
Well, according to Brett, I read his book, man, and he talks about this match ad nauseum, man. And if you pay close enough attention, like whenever Brett has him in these choke holds or sleeper holds, he's steering the wheel. He's kind of telling him, "All right, you clocked that, man."
I clocked because I saw because immediately I was like, ugh, he has his fucking face jammed up against those gross fucking all fucked up braids that were all messed up, but. Yeah, you could hear him. You could see his mouth moving and shit, and it almost looked like he was smiling a little bit, like they were kind of enjoying it. Like he almost like had him got him in the ear, and was like, "Dude, this is fucking crazy, dude. Dude, look how many fucking people are here. This is awesome." You know, I hope that's what he was saying, but that's crazy. British Bulldog was just fucking freebasing. That's kind of scary, dude. A guy that beefed up with Neidhart just cracked out. Fuck, dude.
Both of the motherfuckers are monsters, man. And you know, they had a epic ending, man. You got to see them hug. He gives the belt to the victor, British Bulldog. You know, he hugs him. Brotherly love, brother-in-law, lovely love. And he hugs his sister. Love you too, sis.
Triple hug, and with some fireworks too, Steve. Get a little pyro at the end too, and they're a little close. I probably would have, you know, been like, Vince, what the fuck, dude? Let's get out of the ring first.
They literally went out with a bang, man.
Yeah, man, that's one of the craziest looking pay-per-views, especially from that era, just because that arena I feel like is so much bigger than most American arenas, and it's open air. So they had that big thing in the middle that's like hung in the air, all that scaffolding and shit. And it just looked so epic and fucking cool. And even with matches like as awful as Nails and Virgil, I enjoyed watching this whole fucking pay-per-view. They limited the bad ones. You know, they were smart about which ones were long and short and stuff. It was really well done.
And that following year, 1993, Mariah Carey releases her album Music Box. And that's the one with Dream Lover, come rescue me. Could you please?
Maybe. Yeah, we love some Mariah. And who doesn't? I mean, she had a #1 hit every year for what? Multiple, like a decade, wasn't it? Didn't she have like a record of #1 hits?
Yeah, she's got a couple records, man, and it's around that time of the year, man. She's thawing.
She's thawing. She's
thawing out. Yeah, she's coming out of the box. She's
like Santa.
That is my song. I love that song too, by the way. That song
But
every year, I will never her Christmas song, the one
yeah,
that's like that shit. I love
that
it.
might be the best. That might be the best Christmas song at this point. I
You
mean,
think
there's no.
so?
I'm trying to think of like the off-brand, not like drummer boy shit, like the Christmas like church songs and stuff. But that is, I mean, it's in malls, it's everywhere, it's prevalent. You know, it's like Pepsi.
And I know some people are annoyed by it. I will never get tired of the song, but my favorite of all time would probably have to be Donny Hathaway. Yeah, this Christmas will be a very special Christmas.
Yeah.
Take it down. All right, 1994, Milk Money premieres. A group of young boys befriends a prostitute named V, directed by Richard Benjamin, starring Melanie Griffith and Ed Harris. And I just said no this week.
I mean, it sounds enticing. A group of kids befriend a prostitute, but okay, now I'm looking at this. So is this a comedy?
It's a coming of age story, I believe. All
I
puns
bet.
intended.
I bet.
Like it just did. Melanie Griffith. Okay, Ed Harris. I'm gonna be real with you.
You don't like Ed
I
Harris?
just don't care for like anything he's a part of. There was the one Jim Carrey movie. Was it no, not Ed TV. Truman Show. Was he in that?
Yeah,
Truman
he
Show?
was like the he was like the director that was up in the moon.
Yeah, but it was Jim Carrey. Give a fuck. They could have had Ed Harris. They could have had Danny DeVito. It was a Jim Carrey. Like so. All right, I'll give you that, Ed Harris. But anything else? I'm sure he's a swell guy.
Ed Harris is like a guy like any like remember Ed Harris in The Rock, the guy he played in that, like a military guy. Okay,
Nope.
I mean, you know, I'm going to agree to disagree on this because I'm not totally unsold on Ed Harris. I'm a pretty big Ed Harris fan, but you know, it's
I
okay.
don't want to
Steve.
unsell you. I don't want to unsell you.
You're not going to, but this movie, I don't even think Ed Harris gives a fuck about this movie, Steve.
Rightfully so. But in 1995, New York Undercover is airing season 2, episode 1, High on the Hog. After recovering from the death of his fiancee and unborn child, Williams awaits psychiatric approval to return to work. Torres and his new partner, Detective Nina Moreno, pose as bikers to solve a double homicide.
And I'm becoming a huge fan of the show, Steve. I ignored it in the 90s. Williams and Torres, yep. Loving these guys. And this episode opens with one of my favorite 90s song, that Cult of Personality, Living Color song.
Living Color.
Love that. Love it. Look in my eyes. What do you see? That's a tasty lick, Steve.
It's delicious.
But yeah, we get to hear that awesome ass song, and we see this cool biker party, Steve. Black bikers, white bikers, they're all partying together, which I was always under the impression never happened if I use Sons of Anarchy as a reference point. But they're partying, they're having a great time, they're bikers. And there's this cool black chick that's just having a great time too. She's loving this party. And I don't know, you know, she doesn't seem like a biker, but she's partying. She goes home fresh from a biker party, and we see a guy follow her home, kill her, Steve. She's dead.
Yeah.
And this guy also, this fucking piece of shit, kills a fucking little kid that comes out. This little cute little girl comes out scared. She's dead. And that, my friend, is why I'm getting into this show, because apparently whoever was writing New York Undercover just did not give a fuck about it, like anything, because the storylines are insane.
Dick Wolf.
I mean, we don't even know who this woman is, and a woman and a kid within 2 seconds of the episode starting. Season 2, episode 1. There's a dead woman and her child already, Steve. And I'm shocked. I didn't think they were going to kill the kid. I'm thinking, oh, we're going to get into like a kidnapping situation. Something's going to happen this way. No, dead kid.
And we cut into that classic theme song, New York Undercover. We get the intro, and we come back, and we're introduced to Nina Moreno, and she's on the beat with Torres, and they're already butting heads. They're at a disagreement for how everything was supposed to play out.
Yeah, he almost gets shot, doesn't, but he blames her because he's like, where the fuck were you at? If you were Williams, this guy wouldn't have even been close to me. He's like, he's comparing him to her to his old partner, but she gets the job done. And, but new partnerships. We've seen many movies and TV shows, Steve, and cop talk. This never works out right immediately,
Or podcasting. If I had another co-host, even for an episode, I'd be like, no, let's start over. Matt would never do that. No, you know what? No, let's just
stop that. Matthew would never do something like that. I appreciate that's sweet, Steve. I appreciate that.
Can we pause? Okay. So like, all right, when you say this, Matt, you would usually say that. All right, don't say that. Like, dude, watch episode 78 and like watch how Matt does this and like
laugh at it, laugh like this. Laugh like you used to smoke 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Uncontrollably. Just do that, please. That's the show.
That's the thing. Damn, Matt, do
that. But as we know from the description, Williams, the usual guy, he's out. His fiance was killed last season, apparently, and he's coming back from this, and it's only been a little bit, but he's coming in. He's got crutches and shit. He's pulling a Willy Wonka on fucking New York Undercover, Steve. Everyone's like, oh, are you okay? And he's like, I'm great. Yeah.
Psych.
You psychos. Give me my gun back. And they're like, whoa, not yet. Not yet, bud.
And,
your wife,
they're really.
Wait, no, it wasn't his wife. It was his fiance. They never got married, Steve.
It was his fiance. They almost made it, and they relegated him to pencil pushing at the precinct. But Williams, man, he can't just sit down. I want to get back in these streets. And throughout this episode, he's having flashbacks of Danny Court, played by Ice-T, and Danny Court was a character that was only in like 3-4 episodes on this show. But when I watched it back in the day, it's a character that resonated with me, and I remember it. Like Ice-T, he was already doing other movies, Trespass, and I believe New Jack City. But when he played this character, I was like, dude, this dude is good.
Excuse me, I'm looking for Officer Williams. He's not here right now. That's great. I mean, he killed a bitch, Steve. He went right for the dude, and he's in jail right now, correct? Like they caught the guy. Ice-T's just locked away like the Joker, waiting to get out.
Again.
Yeah, so we do see some cutaways to that. Torres and Nina, his new partner, get called into the boss's office. The boss is like a blonde lady, the tough chief lady, and she's like, can either of you fucks ride a motorcycle? Because we got these fucking chuds over here. I didn't even know New York City had motorcycle gangs, Steve. Wasn't aware of it. Thought this was like a hillbilly thing, but they want undercover people to get in, infiltrate this gang, because unfortunately, that woman who we saw killed at the beginning, turns out she was an informant on one of the biker gangs, and now she's dead, Steve. So can't do that. Cops can't have that. You can't be killing our witnesses.
Yeah, and they didn't get witness protection to her like quick enough, man. And the name of the gang, I believe, is the Iron Snakes.
Saints. The Iron Saints.
Iron Saints.
And the boss is like, these people are real pieces of shit. You kill a guy, you get a patch. That's how these guys roll. And I was like, wow, it's kind of like the Boy Scouts when you think about it. Who knew, biker gangs really use that as a reference point? Where do you get a patch for killing a guy? Where do you buy that patch at, Steve?
Man. Can I just buy one on Amazon and say I like put in the work?
I killed 100 guys. He's got the patches.
Can I get some of those removable ink like tear tattoos too while I'm at it?
Yeah, exactly. So they're on the case, Steve. I guess thankfully Torres knows how to ride a motorcycle. But cut to the biker hideout now. Now we get to meet the Iron Saints. And the Iron Saints are like I think they're a black biker gang. Like it seems like most of the guys are black dudes, biker boys style. And these guys are some of the most handsome bikers I've ever seen. The one guy, I thought it was not Morris Chestnut, but one of the male black, like one of the supermodel male dudes. You know
He
what I'm
is.
talking about.
He is.
Well, he shouldn't be playing a biker.
Well,
too hot.
also, he like Snake, the guy who plays Snake, Scott Lawrence, he shouldn't be the leader, because I was like, all right, Snake, that's the leader of the Iron Saints, right? And then we see Snake, and I'm like, Scott Lawrence, like I've seen you in like other shit. Like, what did you do to become the leader in this New York biker club?
Yeah, and he looks very like he looks like just a normal guy that they just threw some leathers on. He's not even muscular. He's not tough, other than he's got a cool Snake style scar right here, Steve. That's why they call him Snake, because you know the scar.
And Trap is his brother. That's the big muscular model guy. He's played by Henry Simmons, and he was like a Tyrese, Morris Chestnut, Shamar Moore. He was one of those guys that would be in the magazines and Calvin Klein and all of that shit.
Yeah.
But in this episode, he plays Trap, and we find out that the lady who died is his girl. That was his girl, and the girl who died was his daughter. So he feels a certain way about that, and he wants to drop on the person who killed his baby and his baby.
Yeah, and Snake tells him it's one of the Saxons, which is a white, I'm assuming, biker gang, or just some other, Philly. I'm putting race to this, but these are just biker gangs in New York City. And the Saxons, he's putting it on them, which, kind of seems a little shady, but, cut to psychologist office. Williams, he's got to get the sign off. He's got to meet with the psychologist. And this guy, I got to say, Steve, this is where we see a lot of the Ice-T flashbacks, because the shrink is not he's getting one-word answers from Williams. And then, I mean, you can say whatever you like, tough love, whatever. This dude's like, so what do you think about Ice-T being out of jail soon? Like, this scumbag's going to be out and your daughter's in the ground. Like, he's saying some crazy shit where he's like, do you want him to just, like, lose it? Are you trying to fucking piss him off? Because that toothpick's about to get flicked in your eye, dude. Malik Yoba's going to fucking slap you in the face.
With a bobsled.
Yeah, dude. But he gives some good answers. The shrink asks him something about like being able to like defend the public or like be a public servant. He's like, yeah, I'll do that with my life and shit. He gives good answers. He's not losing it, but he's still, you can tell there's some like leftover shit from Ice-T killing his fiance 4 months ago. Maybe take some time. I don't know. Maybe it's a little too soon.
No, he's trying to be outside.
So we go back to the biker bar now. Nina and Torres get a bike, get a couple of leather jackets out of wherever they got the biker shit at the cop shop. And really, that's all it takes, Steve. You get a bike, you give Nunez a couple of fucking those sleeves that have tattoo designs on them, so it looks like she's down. And they just go to this bikes place, and they're hanging out. Biker people are hanging out. Nunez, I think, gets in it with some chick who just fucking breaks a bottle and tries to stab her. So clearly this is a bike place, Steve. This is what happens at biker bars, this kind of shit. So I don't know what they expect.
Moreno.
Isn't that her name?
Saying Nunez.
Isn't it Nunez? Moreno.
No,
Whatever.
Nina.
Nina. She's with Torres. I'm new to the show, Steve. I'm sorry. These are new names.
I got you.
But they infiltrate the biker bar, Steve. And I gotta say, Nina, she uses one thing very well: the sexuality, Steve. She could infiltrate my gang acting the way she does to Snake, because I'd be like, she's in. Let her stay. I wouldn't be a good criminal.
She could stay, Chad. They basically they let them know like up front, like, man, I like her, but like I could really do without you.
Yeah,
But
you
like
suck.
Torres, he's just, yeah, you suck, bro. Like, why are you here? Like, she could stay though. But Torres is like, I'm the guy that's going to make you rich. So that somewhat piques their interest. And it was funny that Snake says, you're probably a cop, but go ahead. Like, no, that should be the end. Like, if you suspect that the man is a cop, you should stop discussing business. That should be the end.
Yeah, kill the guy. You're clearly down to kill people. So ace him, get with the hottie. You're good. Snake, though, like you said, he's not a good criminal. He entertains it. And it's not a drug deal, Steve. It's not even a gun deal. They are trying to deal Pentium chips. And I gotta say, that tracks for a guy who looks as nerdy as Snake. He looks like a guy who is lousy with Pentium chips everywhere. You know, so I thought that was just hilarious. Like, yeah, you got the stuff. You got the stuff, and it's a fucking Pentium. What? Were they that hard to get, Steve? Yeah, like, nah, this ain't Intel. This ain't Intel at all, you fuck. Kill his ass!
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude, that's hilarious. Fucking Pentium chips. But Torres is going to make him rich, Steve. And he even has a little device that checks Pentium chips. I want to know what that device does. I do want to know what other than a green light.
Back at the precinct, Torres is granted $10,000 cash money to infiltrate this system.
This goes, you show it, and then you put it in the bag, and it comes back to the precinct. That's all they were told, Steve. That was the only rule. We're going to give you 10 large. Bring it back. Okay? Bring it back.
And when they make it back to the Iron Saints, he basically tells them, like, we do business or we step.
Yeah, and I think, like, right now, he brings that little bit of money. They look at the chip.
We track down Mr. Andrew Piccolo. That's the person who killed the lady and the little girl, man. Snake meets up with this Pete and Pete extra, and you know, he gives him the money, and like while he's counting the money, he just basically whacks the guy in the back of the head, man. And like they basically give him that medieval treatment. Word to Ving Rhames.
Straight up. Because I was like, what are they gonna do to this guy? They straight up quarter him, Steve. Snake, for as nerdy as he looks, is not fucking around. And now the guy can't tell the truth. So, you know, there's one less loose end to tie up. Because there's actually now 4 loose ends, and they're dead. Because we quartered this poor motherfucker. That's crazy. Who knew this kind of shit was going on in New York City? Biker quartering? I mean, hookers, blow, crime. I get it. This, I didn't.
Pentium chips.
Fuck. Pentium chips and killing guys by quartering them with motorcycles. I mean, who knew?
Insane, man.
The cops find the body. The guy's name is Pike, I think, is the actual name of that biker. And Snake left the gun that killed the kid and the lady, and they found some money on the dude too. So like, it seems like all pretty cut and dry. They're like, oh, this is blah 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 blah. And then Williams comes in while they're talking about this. And Williams throws that little subtle flex on. He's like, yeah, it's all nice and good that Torres has this new partner and shit, and I'm doing desk duty. But he has like some like phone information that like it seems like some like vet cop shit where he's like, here's a little loose info for you guys. You know, I'm not on their case, but you know, maybe this will help you out. Maybe this will take care of the situation. So he's helping out and trying to get back in. But as this is all happening, right? Like Torres and Trap are now like going to get more money, I think. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, well, there's this little rift that he still has with Nina, because he recommends that she just goes to backup.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, because he's kind of feeling the chick. Like Torres is starting to, I think, like have some romantic interest in Nina, which I get. You know,
and he cares about her safety, but she doesn't look at it like that. She's looking at it like, oh, you think I can't do the job because I'm a woman? Oh, I got to keep dealing with you stupid, egotistical, self-centered men. You fucking slime. Because that's the same thing she dealt with at the previous precinct. And the lieutenant basically shuts that shit down. Like, no, it's not. You're not in the position to make that recommendation. I do the recommendation. Did you care about Williams' safety when y'all were out? Like, did that ever?
Yeah. Was he hugging you on the back of a motorcycle, you piece of shit? So there's a little thing going there. There's some sexual tension, Steve. There's a little tension, like professional tension. But then, maybe I fucked the time in on this, but my note says we go to that bar that they go to, and Torres is like talking to some guy. Is that part of it? Or am I in the right spot? Because he's talking to some dude with a sandwich, like getting advice from some old dude.
I missed that part.
Okay.
I'm basically at the Iron Saints hangout because like now they're back, and that's when he sends Torres back out with Trap, but he wants Nina to stay, and like while Trap and Torres are out, he's getting branded. He's about to get this little shitty coat hanger brand on his stomach or his chest. I don't know what, but that's like his way of saying like I've earned my stripes.
Yeah, it's just as a weird, because he's like, yeah, go get the money. Hey, come over here, Nina. Yeah, you like my cool brand? Like, what the fuck is going on? He's got it just doesn't, and like he's just got gang members that are there ready to brand him. Like, yeah, Snake. Here, let me get this ready for you. So weird. But Snake's a weird guy, Steve. He's got that weird Jamiroquai room that he's trying to fuck Nina in, and he's getting branded in it. Torres is with Trap. We cut to the streets. That's where we are. They're there to get money, but at some point Trap realizes that Torres is a cop. They get in like a little standoff with guns, right? And
he gets called out by like
that's what it was. Yeah. Who does he get called out by, Steve?
Caitlyn Gender. Like they don't I don't know what, like, I guess he's pimping out somebody's uncle or like they're crackheads or what, but he's supposed to get some money from them.
$40.
Somebody's Aunt Michael, she sees Torres, or I gotta watch my pronouns. They see Torres and they're like, he's a cop. And then that's the cop. Yeah. That's a cop, honey boo. Shoot.
That guy is serving me. That's a fucking 5-0, boo boo. So and Trap get in like a standoff, but basically Torres tells Trap that he's like, dude, Snake, he's responsible for killing your kid. So point that gun elsewhere. And also, Miss Thang over there, fuck you for blowing up my spot. What's up, Torres, you sexy motherfucker?
I still got it wet for you, daddy. So he also finds out that his girl is not a ride or die. She was about to just shit on the whole regime.
Yeah.
And when he finds that out, he kind of has a callous heart about it. He's like, well, maybe she got what was coming to her. And then William steps in and is like, what about your daughter, motherfucker? Does she deserve that shit? How dare you? I got kids too.
That motherfucker stomped on your girl's life like a little bug and shit. How you feel about that, Trap? Sexy ass.
Pretty ass motherfucking Calvin Klein model, motherfucker.
Smelling like Calvin Klein, CK1 and shit. Your daughter's dead as shit. What do you think about that? And they get trapped to fucking turn, Steve. They 48 hours or 48, whatever. First 48, whatever the fuck, they get his ass. And he's like, what do I need to do? And they're like, just stare into my eyes, you gorgeous son of a bitch, please.
Fresh off a cross-color photo shoot. Mr. Carl Kanai over here. And so, like, meanwhile, Nina is getting chased down by these damn burning coat hanger branding gangsters in this biker gang. And like, luckily, perfect timing, Torres and Trap come back, and so that takes the attention off of Nina and trying to brand her, because that was Snake's thing. All my women get shitty brands.
Oh, my girls get a brand. Like, what kind of weird cult shit is that, dude?
And that's why they're not with
what
you.
They look like, and you just gotta mark them up like Michael Scott. You're like, I don't even know who is this bitch. Oh, she's one of mine. She's got that shit. And I also like that when they come in, like Torres and Trap come in, and he's like caught, like Snake's like, yeah, you know, whatever. We were just having a little argument and shit. Like, dude, you got a fucking bleeding brand on your chest. What the fuck was going on here, dude?
That sucks. It looks really stupid, Snake, and all of your gang members are lying to you. Man, that's cool, boss.
Hell yeah, man. Man, I hope he just don't quarter my ass, because that shit was nuts. But that shit looks dumb.
And that's why you see no girls in this gang. It's just a sausage fest. Like, all my girls got that bread. Like, that's why they're not here, Snake. But we find out that Trap, he's realized the truth. And he calls Snake out. He's like, man, you're no brother of mine. I know what you did, motherfucker. So Snake, without hesitation, just pops several caps in the Trap. Like, all right, I'm not your brother. Ha! Bow, 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 bow.
Yeah. Fuck that whole family line. That's gone. That family line's deceased, except for him. And now, you know, Snake's out. He's got a bike, and he's just going. He's on the run. And I love, this is the most unrealistic car chase of all time, Steve. Snake would be gone. He would be clean, off in the wind. You'd never find him. But Williams somehow sees all this occur, gets in a car, and just sort of like spiritually like does some kind of like cop math where he's like, okay, he's on this thing. If I do this turn, and he somehow finds him, Steve. In New York City, he loses sight of him, traps him, and it's all good to go. And I will point out that the stuntman who took whatever the fall was when Snake falls off that bike took one of the most biggest L's of his life, because that might not have even been like planned. It looked like an accident, Steve.
Like, that bike got clipped the fuck up by that car, man. And maybe it was just his intuition from working those New York streets this long. But yeah, man, he clipped them and puts his hands in the cuffs and just proceeds to beat the fuck out of him.
I mean, it's like a real NYPD ass. This is almost like LAPD ass, because he's going in. And even the other cops, which you think they'd be like cool with it, like, yeah, well, fuck this kid, whatever, whoop his ass. They're like, yo, dude, whoa.
Even Torres is like, bro, okay, we get it, man.
You kept saying, you kept calling him daddy and shit too. It was really weird, dude. Are you okay?
He was on the shelf for a while, man. He just wanted to make sure he's not rusty. But you know, Snake gets taken in. Unfortunately, we lose another life before they nab the perk. But hey, we get some Al Jarreau singing in the nightclub in the end, and that makes everything all right.
Just like berries on the vine. Yeah, I didn't know who that was, Steve. I was like, who is this smooth son of a bitch? Come to find out, Al Jarreau is just, I mean, what is the song he sings is "We're in This Love Together." And I listened to a couple other songs. I gotta say, Al Jarreau. I wish I was at Natalie's that night, because some panties got moist, Steve.
Mr. Steal Your Grandma and Great Aunt. And at the end, you know, Williams, because of everything that's transpired, he feels lucky that he still has his child on this side of the earth, and he wants to check in on Junior. And he stops by his baby mom's house, and Junior at this point is asleep. But he just wants to let her know, hey, tell him that I stopped by. Daddy cares.
Tell G I was here.
G, yeah.
Tell him I was here. I gotta go though. Yeah, it's crazy. My fiance, like, she doesn't mention anything about that, but yeah, Williams. I think he exercised the demons, Steve. I think he's ready. He gets his gun back, and I think he got his groove back, Steve. If I'm being honest.
Got to get those Ken Shamrock jabs in the back of the fucking shoulder.
Really went into the kidneys on that guy, though. I was like, damn, dude. Like, were you actually hitting this guy?
He's just laying in, man. But August 31st, 1997, Recess debuts on ABC. And this had a cult following, but, you know, it's another one of those cartoons in the later part of the decade where we stopped kind of caring about these kind of.
Yeah. This is well known. I've seen it. I know about it, but we were too old. This was just too. We couldn't. We were looking at Sable's titties and shit like that. We didn't want to see this.
And blurred images that would make us pre-cum. But somebody who didn't watch the debut of Recess on ABC is probably American running back Eddie George. He's playing for the Oilers, and he runs for 216 yards on 35 carries, scores a touchdown for the Oilers, playing their first NFL game in Tennessee, beating Oakland 24-21 in overtime at the Liberty Bowl in Memphis.
Eddie George, dude. You loved him. Oh, Ohio State legend.
Always will, man. And for what it's worth, he had a great career, man. It was just hindered by injuries. At some point, he was a Cowboy. Of course, he spent a lot of his time with the Oilers/Titans. But by the time the Cowboys got him, man, he was still serviceable, man. And like you mentioned, a Buckeye legend, man. The only Heisman we got in this decade, Eddie George. So shout out to that man.
Yeah, he was a beast. He definitely broke my heart because I liked Penn State when he played for Ohio State, and I'm sure he ran for thousands of yards against my favorite team. So shout out to Eddie George. He's also a good commentator. He did that for a while too. The guy's just a good he's talented.
He's got the look. You want to be in the pictures, kid? You know who probably wasn't privy to any shit though in 1997, though, Matthew?
Oh, Steve.
Man, probably Egyptian film producer Dodi Fayed and Diana, the Princess of Wales, because they died in a car crash that day.
Yeah.
And it was a dark day.
Yeah, this was world news. I was actually in the town I live in right now, Steve, staying with my then college-age sister at her apartment, and I remember watching this sleeping on the floor of her apartment, not really knowing or how big of a deal this was, but even in America, this was a huge deal.
A huge deal because, I mean, she was loved by everyone she encountered, man. She was a real princess. And, she had grace. She went into these impoverished countries and spending her time. And time is something you can't get back. Money is money, but she spent a lot of her time with the unfortunate, with the underprivileged, man. And throughout that whole time, just showing grace. And there's been a lot of controversy surrounding this car crash. If it was predetermined, did the royal family have a hand in this? Because she was on the outs with them. She had already divorced Prince Charles, and she didn't get along with the Queen. They were button heads throughout that whole time, and especially after the divorce. And this was all over the news, man. Elton John, he did the Candle in the Wind. This was, right before we were starting our high school careers, the end of the summer, 97, man. And, I remember that song being played. I don't know if they were Princess Di fans or Elton John fans, but I just remember that song in heavy rotation.
Yeah. Well, and I just remember just sort of that question of whether or not what happened was what we were told happened. Like you said, there's a lot of conspiracy stuff about this, and she was a really cool, as far as royal people go, because in my opinion, I'd say most of those people are probably bad. I don't give a shit about them, but she was out there doing real shit. I think I remember as a kid being amazed to find out that somebody that was that rich and affluent, she was finding landmines in impoverished war-torn areas and shit to help because there was some issue with that. I was like, Jesus Christ, he's doing it all. So yeah, I wonder if it was some sinister shit or not. Seems weird.
One of those things. Yeah, man. Any callbacks, honorable mentions, or takeaways, good sir?
I was telling you about this earlier, maybe off before we hit record, but I'm gonna go see Jurassic Park in the theater tonight or tomorrow, Steve, and I'm excited. I like getting a chance to see old movies in the theater because I think that's an experience that, especially for those old movies, is something that you should really get to see for some things, especially a movie like Jurassic Park. So I'll give you a review on the experience, but I think we all know how it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's cool, man. I would definitely, anybody who didn't grow up at this time, if you get a chance to see one of these huge movies that about in the theater, it's a thing, man. They were made for that back then. It's not like now. It's film, it's beautiful, and I think if you see it in the theater versus seeing it on your TV, there's just something better about that. I miss that. But what about you, Steve? I'm sorry to be so melancholy, so dramatic.
I just want to talk about Hard Target and how thankful I am for that fucking movie, because to pull the curtain back for the boys and girls, look, man, I make posts on our social medias every Sunday and every Thursday, the day of our show release. And you know, when new movie came out on this day in the 90s, new album came out, episode of a show or a debut of a show. Well, last Sunday I made a meme that had Hard Target because it came out on 8/20 in 93. And you never know what the reactions are going to be. You never know what the responses are going to be. You know, some things might surprise me. We have a Tu Wong Fu clip that I shared about 2 years ago, and periodically, every now and then, like a new person will like it. And like that Tu Wong Fu clip is about 200 plus likes on Instagram.
Hell
now,
yeah.
Hard Target, this is the most like thing that we have ever shared on social media, on an Instagram, a TikTok, a Facebook. And this is the biggest shocker. Now, I've been shocked about Runaway Bride. That got over 100 likes in a week. Air America, over 100 likes in a week. Hard Target got over 1,000 likes and reactions, and it hasn't even been a full week yet. And I just want to thank everyone involved. John Woo, Jean-Claude Van Damme, everyone that was a part of that picture. I was already a Jean-Claude fan, but Van Damme, and still counting. If I look now, since we've recorded, there've probably been 10 more likes on that Hard Target picture. And it's not even a clip. It's just it's the picture. I do my little dressing around it and put the numbers and the hit 90s in the quarter, but that's all I got, man.
People love some JCVD, Steve. It makes me, when I see anything related to that guy in the 90s or 80s, it makes me want to dance like him in Kickboxer. Remember that cheesy thing where he's white people dancing? Like, that's the vibe I get from him. So I get it. And I think it's a worldwide vibe. So maybe we have a sideshow just about Jean-Claude, Steve. Maybe we get him in the mix.
He deserves it, bro. Like, y'all earn it. We need to do something about Jean-Claude and John Woo. Whatever that magic word was that just got us in the algorithm side this time around, man, yeah, we need to piggyback on that. But please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Please tell your sister that she's not my fucking dream lover. She's a punk, she's a hoe, and I want to let her go. Please check out Food Show Fanatics with Matt and Kendra. Crushgasm every Wednesday with Kendra. B3F Podcast. I keep saying that. I'm just so used to it. Don't Worry Being Movie with Amanda Way and our buddy Clark the Shark. Councilman Clark. This is Steve G and Matt G with Happening in the 90s.
Shut up, bitch!